No violence or threats of violence. No chemicals at any time, anywhere, as long as you're part of the program. If you break either of those rules, you're gone. It's over. Goodbye. You can try again the next day, but you're out. A sip of beer, an aspirin that you didn't ask for, one toke of weed. In a game, which is a free-for-all emotionally, in a group encounter, you can say, you know, sometimes I feel like killing you. That's an expression of feeling. You cannot say, I'm going to kill you. That's a threat. That's different. And certainly on the floor, walking through the dining room, you can't say anything like that. Save it for the game. During the day, we're civilized, or we try to be. The game is different. So eventually, we sold these two houses and we made a fortune. I mean a serious fortune. The houses escalated in value. By the way, you know who lives in one of them now? The former Prime Minister, Kim Campbell. She lives in them. She lives in one of them. They're great houses. But we sold those houses and we bought a mansion in Lower Shaughnessy. Now let me explain for those of you who've never seen Vancouver. This is akin to buying a Tudor mansion on Wellington Crescent. Now what is different about what we did in 1969 and the realities of what Jean has to deal with today is in those days we just did what we wanted. We didn't have to answer to government. We had a non-profit society. We wanted to buy a house and we bought it. Quick story about our name. First of all, we had to incorporate legally as a society, and the name that everybody wanted was the Indian Post Release Center Society. So the Registrar of Companies in Victoria said, you can't have that name. And we said, what are you talking about? That's the name we want. No, you can't have that name. It sounds like Indian prostitute. So, go explain. So we went over, a whole troop of us went over, and we had a fight with this guy in his office, and he said, that sounds like Indian prostitute, and Tony said, that's the point. There are Indian prostitutes. We are Indians who have come out of release. So that's what the name we want. We went nowhere with this guy. So finally I had a brilliant idea, and I said to him, okay, I got it, sir. How about the Leonard Nanaquiwatung Society? Oh, he got his pen. Oh, the Leonard Nanaquiwatung Society. How do you spell that? N-A. Who was Leonard Nanaquiwatung? Was he a famous chief? I turned around and pointed to a 19-year-old boy who had just been released from Haney Correctional. I said, no, that's Leonard right there. So, anyway, we were called officially the Indian Post Release Center Society, but then one day, an Aboriginal girl in our program, she walked up to me and she said, David, I've got it, because I said, there's a contest in the house. We need a new name. We can't say this. It's too much words. We need a name that'll stick. And she said, she had a dictionary, believe it or not, of Quavucal and English. And she said, how about Kalay? I said, that's a good word. What does it mean? She said, it means path. P-A-T-H, path. And I said, oh, put an X in front of it and you got it. She said, I knew you would say that. I said, look, X-Kalay, the unknown path. So we legally incorporated as X-Kalay. And then we moved into this mansion and the thing took off, okay? And I'm going to tell you how it took off, and I'm going to tell you some stories about some people, good and bad, okay? How it took off is suddenly we went from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 people. We started with 3 guys and $130, and 4 years later we had 125 people in residence. We owned and operated a Shell gas station, a hair salon, a pen advertising company, and a pizza restaurant. Then we bought a hotel on Salt Spring Island, which I'm going to tell you about, and then we opened Winnipeg, and that's why you're sitting here, which I'm going to tell you about. But I'm going to tell you about some people. I told you about Delphi. Let me tell you about 2 other women. One day, when we first moved into this mansion, some kids came into my office and they said, David, you know that girl we just let into the house, Carol? I said, no. There were too many people for me to know everybody. I said, what about her? Well, she's upstairs and she's doing that whole thing where she insists she's kicking a habit and she needs this pill and that pill and she needs a doctor and she needs this and she needs that. I said, oh yeah, that, okay, fine. So I go upstairs And here's Carol. She's under the blankets. It's like 10:30 in the morning. Everybody's at work. Everybody's busy, you know. She's under the blankets. I come in, I go, "Hi, Carol. My name's David." "Oh, yeah, hi, Dave. Yeah, okay." I said, could I talk to you for a second?" "Yeah, okay." I said, "Are you okay to get out of bed?" "Sure." She gets out of bed. She puts on her house coat. I said, "Look, could you help me with something?" "What?" I said, "Could you help me with something? I need some help." "Sure, what is it?" I said, "You just come with me." She comes downstairs. The dining room is absolutely beautiful. It's all inlaid wood, cabinets, beautiful chandelier. I mean, this is a pretty fancy house, worth a fortune. I said, "Carol, everybody's working on lunch. We got people at schools giving lectures to school kids. We got people going to the gas station. We're all busy. You know what? We forgot to clean this room." I hand her a broom. I said, would you mind cleaning this room for me? It would really be helpful." "Absolutely." She cleans the room. I go away. That's the end of Carol's kicking her habit story. You understand what I just said? That's the end of the bullshit. It's the end of, if she had doctors and nurses and social workers, they would fall for it. But we weren't doctors and nurses and social workers, except for me, the only square jaw in the group. Everybody was a user. Everybody understood the territory. So we handed her a broom and she cleaned up. And eventually somebody said, "Oh, Carol, good to see you up. You want to take a smoke break? You got time for coffee?" And Carol stayed with us for over 2 years. She was a prostitute. She was startlingly beautiful. She was an amazingly beautiful girl. She had silver hair. Very sexy girl. I'm sure she was a very successful prostitute. I hope she was. She deserved it. And she was sweet, and she was kind, and she was thoughtful, and she was very smart, and mostly, and this is the biggest of all, she was very funny. If you're not funny, you should leave now. Because if you're in this work, and if you're trying to reclaim your own life, you better have a sense of humor, because this is tough. So you better be funny. And Carol was very funny. Now I'm going to tell you about someone you may know. Do any of you know Shirley Green? Shirley Green ran this house for several years. And let me tell you Shirley Green. Shirley Green was in the program for about 3 months, and I was sitting in my office, and she came in, and she was supposed to be sweeping the floor or something. And she looked at me, she said, "Is that it?" I said, "What?" She said, "Is that all you do all day?" I said, "What? I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about something." "You're just thinking?" I said, "Yeah, that's my job. My job is I have to think of stuff for you to do." So then she sat down. I said, "Sit down, talk to me." She said, "David, do you know why I'm here? Do you know how I came here?" And I said, "No, tell me." And this is Shirley Green's story. And I want you to think about this seriously. Shirley was an inmate in Matsui Penitentiary doing federal time. We went in to give them a demonstration of the X-Kalay game, which is, you know, the encounter group, okay? And she said to me, "David, you came in and demonstrated the game." And I said, "Yeah." I had no recollection of any of this. She said, "Do you know what you said to me?" I said, "No, I don't even remember meeting you." She said, "Well, I'll tell you what you said to me. First of all, you were the most foul-mouthed, profane person I ever met. I never heard a person swear like you." I said, "Yeah, well, that's the fault. It's, you know, I'm working on it. As you see, I've done great." She said, "But here's what you said to me. There was a lull in the conversation in the circle, and you turned to me, and you looked at me, and you said, 'Is that it?' And I said, 'What?' And you said, 'That.' And I said, 'What?' And you said, 'That T-shirt.' And she said, 'What the are you talking about?' And I said, 'That tie-dyed T-shirt.' This was a T-shirt she made in the joint. She said, 'I don't know what you're talking about.' I said, 'Let me see if I understand this. You're what, 30? Whatever she was, 30, 31. I said, 'You're 30 years old. Let's check the list. Husband? No. Picket fence? No. White cottage? No. Children? No. Grandchildren? No. Dog? No. Tickets to the Canucks game? No. Library card? No. Tickets to the opera? No. A washing machine? No. But this is what you have. This is what you can claim is a tie-dyed T-shirt